You might know Phil Mickelson, the six-time major winner, the guy who could do anything with a golf club, the man millions of fans cheered for. But today, we are not talking about the trophies. We are talking about what he lost, his family. In 2026, news shocked the golf world. Phil Mickelson's oldest daughter, Amanda, deleted every single photo of her father from her social media. Every one. 36 photos, gone. A daughter, wiping her own father from her digital life. But that was just the surface. Behind Amanda's decision to press delete, the entire Mickelson family was going through a storm. A storm Phil never faced in his 30-year career. So what really happened? How did a family that seemed so happy fall apart? Why would a daughter make this choice in 2026? And most important, what did Phil Mickelson do to make his family become like this? Before we go deeper, let me say something. As a golf fan, I watched Phil Mickelson play for years. I saw him win at Augusta. I saw him lift the claret jug at Troon. I saw him hug his wife Amy and kiss his daughter Amanda on the forehead. So when I saw Amanda delete those photos, I had one question. This is not a normal family argument. This is a family falling apart in public. Do you think deleting those photos was Amanda's personal choice or the whole family's decision? Drop your answer in the comments. If you want the full story, you need to stay until the end. Hit subscribe now so you don't miss anything, because this story is far more complex than the headline suggests. And what I am about to tell you might change how you see Phil Mickelson forever. This man once had everything. In 2026, it all started to fall. But before we can understand how everything fell apart, we need to understand what Phil Mickelson's family actually looked like. Because for 30 years, this family was the picture of perfection. At the center of it all was Amy, Phil's wife, his rock, the woman who stood beside him through every victory and every defeat. Amy was never just a golfer's wife, she was a fighter. In 2014, Amy was diagnosed with breast cancer. While Phil was winning tournaments, she was fighting for her life. And she won. She beat it. The golf world celebrated that victory almost as much as any major championship, because it showed what kind of woman she was. Strong, unbreakable, loyal. And then there was Amanda, born in 1999, the oldest child, the one who grew up watching her dad become a legend. She went to Brown University, one of the best schools in America. She was smart, independent, and clearly her father's daughter in many ways. Amanda was not just Phil's child. She was his pride. He talked about her in interviews. He brought her to tournaments. She was the daughter of a champion, and she carried herself like one. There were two other children too, Sophia and Evan. But Amanda was the one who had the closest public connection to her father. She was the one who shared photos, the one who celebrated his wins, the one who seemed to adore him the most. For years, the Mickelson family looked like the dream. The successful father, the strong mother, the beautiful children, the private jets, the mansions, the lifestyle of a golf legend. And behind it all, the photos. Photos of Phil hugging Amanda at the Masters. Photos of the family celebrating Christmas. Photos of birthday parties and vacations. Photos that made the world believe this family was untouchable. But photos can lie. They capture a moment, a smile, a hug, a frozen second in time. They do not capture what happens when the cameras are off. They do not capture the conversations in private rooms. They do not capture the arguments, the disappointments, the moments when love starts to crack. The Mickelson family had all of that. The perfect images, the public love, the photos that made everyone jealous. But underneath it all, something was changing. And 2026 was the year everything came crashing down. That perfect family portrait was about to be shattered, and no one saw it coming. The first crack appeared in April 2026. Phil Mickelson announced he was stepping away from golf. Not for a week, not for a month. Indefinitely. He said it was because of a private family health matter. He would miss the Masters. He would miss every major that year. At first, fans were worried. They thought maybe Amy's cancer had returned. They thought maybe Phil himself was sick. But then the reports started coming out, and they changed everything. According to multiple sources, the health issue was not Phil. It was not Amy. It was one of their children. One of the kids was seriously ill. The exact details were never made public, but the message was clear. The Mickelson family was in crisis. And this crisis was not just about health. Because while Phil was dealing with his child's illness, another storm was brewing. A much darker one. Reports began to surface about Phil's behavior, not on the golf course, off it, in private, at clubs, around people who trusted him. The first report said Phil had been expelled from the Farms Golf Club in California. This was his home course, the place where he practiced, the place where he was a member for years, and they kicked him out. Why? According to the report, Phil had inappropriate physical contact with a female employee, non-consensual and inappropriate contact. The club confirmed he was no longer a member. They would not say more, but the message was clear enough. Then more reports came. Phil was banned from 3 California golf clubs. 3, not 1. 3. That is not a misunderstanding. That is a pattern. Then came the most disturbing report of all. It was about a night in 2015. A party. Phil Mickelson showed another player's wife a nude photo of himself. The woman's name was Ashley Perez. Her husband was Pat Perez, a fellow professional golfer. Ashley said Phil asked her to come to his bedroom that night. She said no. Think about that for a moment. This was not a rumor. This was not gossip. This was a direct accusation from a woman who was there. A woman who was married to another player. A woman who had no reason to lie. And this happened in 2015, 10 years before the photo deletion, 10 years before the family crisis, 10 years before any of this became public. So here is the question that every golf fan started asking. If this happened in 2015, what else happened that we do not know about? A sick child was only the first piece of this puzzle. What came next made the whole picture darker. The accusations kept coming. Phil Mickelson's name appeared in reports again and again, not for his golf, for his behavior. And the golf world started to change how they saw him. At first, some fans defended him. They said these were just accusations. They said people were out to get him. They said we should wait for proof. But then the silence became louder than the accusations. Amanda, his daughter, the one who posted photos of him, the one who celebrated his wins, the one who seemed to love him more than anyone. She said nothing, not one word, not one defense, not one post saying my father is innocent. Nothing. Her social media stayed active. She posted about her life, her friends, her travels, but not a single mention of her father, not a single word. And then the photos started disappearing, one by one. The Masters photo, gone. The Christmas photo, gone. The birthday photo, gone. The vacation photo, gone. 36 photos, all of them featuring Phil Mickelson, all of them deleted. No explanation, no announcement, no drama, just silence and deletion. And the golf world noticed. Fans started screenshotting. They started posting about it on forums. They started asking the same question over and over. What did Phil do? The answer, it seemed, was hiding in plain sight. Amanda was not the only one who went silent. Sophia, Evan, even Amy, the loyal wife who stood by Phil through cancer. Her public statements became rare. Her social media posts about Phil became non-existent. The family was erasing him, not with a dramatic announcement, not with a press conference, just with silence, just with deletion, just with the quiet removal of every piece of evidence that he was ever part of their lives. Think about what that must feel like. Imagine being Phil Mickelson. You have won 6 majors. You have millions of dollars. You have a family that everyone envies. And then one day, your daughter deletes every photo of you. Your wife stops talking about you in public. Your children go silent. It is not a court verdict. It is not a prison sentence. It is something worse. It is being erased. Amy had fought cancer and won, but she could not fight this. No one could. So what do we actually know? Here is what is verified. Phil Mickelson stepped away from golf in April 2026 due to a family health issue. Reports say the issue involved one of his children, not him or Amy. He was expelled from the Farms Golf Club in California for inappropriate contact with a female employee. He was banned from 3 California golf clubs. He was accused of showing a nude photo of himself to another player's wife in 2015. Amy Mickelson released a statement through a spokesperson in June 2026. She said she supports her husband with extraordinary grace and unwavering love. Amanda Mickelson deleted all photos of her father from her social media. The exact date is unclear, but it happened sometime between April and July 2026. And here is what we do not know. We do not know if the accusations are true. We have not seen a court verdict. We have not heard Phil's full side of the story. We have not heard Amanda's explanation for deleting the photos. But we know enough to understand the shape of what happened. A family that once seemed perfect fell apart. A father who was once a hero became someone his daughter could not even look at in photos. And the most heartbreaking part? Amanda did not delete the photos because she hated her father. She deleted them because she could not reconcile the man in those photos with the man in the news. 36 photos, gone. But that was just the beginning of the erasure. Here is the truth about what happened. Amanda was not just deleting photos. She was deleting a version of her father, the version she grew up with, the version who hugged her, the version who made her proud, the version she posted about on social media for years. That version no longer existed. In its place was a man accused of things no daughter wants to hear. A man who had been expelled from clubs, a man who had been banned, a man whose behavior had become public in the worst possible way. So Amanda made a choice. She did not make a public statement. She did not attack her father. She did not do anything dramatic. She just pressed delete. And in doing so, she sent a message that said, "I cannot be associated with this. I cannot pretend everything is fine. I cannot keep photos of you on my page while the world knows what it knows." That is the power of deletion. It is silent, it is simple, and it is devastating. Because when you delete something, you are not just removing it from your phone, you are removing it from your life. You are saying, this person is no longer part of my story. And Amanda was not alone. The entire family went silent. Amy released one statement supporting Phil, but after that, nothing. The kids said nothing. The public appearances stopped. The family photos stopped. The happy family image stopped. Phil Mickelson was being erased, not by the media, not by the PGA Tour, by his own family. That is why those photos matter. They were never just photos. They were evidence of love. And when they disappeared, so did the love. So where does that leave us? It leaves us with a man who had everything: fame, money, talent, a family that seemed perfect. And it leaves us with a man who lost it all. Not because of a bad round of golf, not because of an injury, not because of age, because of choices. Choices made in private. Choices that came back to haunt him. Choices that his family could not ignore. And it leaves us with his daughter. A daughter who had to make the painful decision to remove her father from her life. Not because she wanted to, because she had to. Think about how hard that must have been. Amanda grew up as Phil Mickelson's daughter. She saw him win majors. She saw him hug her mother after victories. She saw him as a hero. And then she saw him become something else. Something she could not recognize. Something she could not defend. Something she could not keep on her social media. So she deleted him. Not in anger, not in revenge, in survival. Because sometimes, when the person you love becomes someone you do not recognize, the only thing you can do is let go. That is what Amanda did. She let go. And in doing so, she showed the world what it really meant to erase someone. Here is the final piece of this story. Phil Mickelson is still alive. He is still a golfer. He still has fans. He still has money. He still has a career, even if it is on hold. But he does not have what matters most. He does not have his daughter's photos on her social media. He does not have his family's public support. He does not have the image he spent 30 years building, and he may never get it back. Because some things cannot be undone. Some photos cannot be reposted. Some trust cannot be rebuilt. Some families cannot be put back together. That is the lesson of this story. It is not about golf. It is not about fame. It is about the choices we make when no one is watching, and the price we pay when those choices become public. Phil Mickelson learned that lesson the hard way. And Amanda? She learned it even harder, because she had to delete her own father. And that is a kind of pain no daughter should ever have to experience. So here is my final question for you. If you were in Amanda's place, could you have done the same? Drop your honest answer in the comments. And if this story made you think differently about Phil Mickelson, hit that like button before you go. Because the truth is, we all have heroes. And sometimes, the hardest thing we have to do is accept that they are not who we thought they were. That is the story of Phil Mickelson. A legend who lost everything, a daughter who had to let go, and a family that quietly, painfully erased him from their lives.